How's it to everybody for tuning back into my third video. In my previous videos I had run through things like the throne room in the corner, the tavern, the workshops, the thrall quarters, and I think today I'm just going to quickly run through the worship area and the barracks. So I doubt it's going to be a very long video because they're all very short or small areas at the end of the day. But the problem being is that if I go into the quarters, then that would be a much lengthier video. And this is also a very small area over here as well, which is the, for lack of a better word, the royal chamber. So, as per usual, nothing's changed here. We'll leave that as is. But let's just pop down here to the state religion, which is Mitra. So thankfully I managed to get my hands on an archpriest. So she's an archpriest. And then what I did here was I just tried to mess about with a bit of design with the corners and your edgings and your thatch roofs and everything. You know, I mean, obviously that would normally be one solid structure. But I thought, you know what, let's see how different it could be and what it could look like if I just left out bits and pieces of the structure and the flooring. And that left me with these shapes here. You know, I mean, this is one of these games where you kind of like have to use your imagination a bit and just kind of like try this and try that. And, you know, sometimes some parts have more than the expected use for them. And leaving out bits and pieces and just putting them in a certain angle, it can create some more interesting visualizations at the end of the day. So, nonetheless, this is not quite the top of the range or the top end worship area. What I still need to do is I still need to throw in or at least build the more advanced one. So if I come here and let me just pop into this area here, and then let me just go through it here to Mitra, you can see that right now that shrine is the very beginning, and what I'm sitting with here is the sanctuary of Mitra. So the next one up is going to be the temple, but I haven't quite got there yet. I just need to collect all those bits and pieces. I've got all that stuff already, but I just need to now make the time to actually do it and get it going. And then you can see here, if I come up here, you can see I've got the Mitra archpriest at the end of the day. So this is pretty much my state religion, Mitra. I think, do you know what, when I consider what I'm doing over there, you can see that's quite an epic development and build over there. I take everybody there like in 2 or 3 videos from now because I'm still messing about with that area, but that's pretty much the Colosseum and the link between the Colosseum and the royal quarters. So that was quite a lot of effort to get that done and a lot of frustration. But you know, when I consider that I'm doing big epic builds like that, and then I look at this little worship area here, I'm thinking, you know, this just looks a bit pathetic. You know, I mean, yes, I've got these design elements, but there's a damn side more that I can do to just make it look more expansive. Now, you might also be asking, well, wondering, but wait, these candles aren't exactly part of the normal build. Nope, they're not. What I've done over the hours and over the days of playing this, whenever I come across any thralls that I kill and I find a candle on them, I pretty much collect the candle, bring it here, and just put it around the temple here, or not temple, the sanctuary. Put it around the sanctuary steps. I mean, obviously, I know in my head that's like, I don't want to say it's a celebration of the thralls that I've killed, but, you know, I like to think maybe there's people that come here and they worship, and just to get a blessing and, you know, something from the god, they'll go and they'll leave a candle. I mean, they do it in real life, to be dead honest. They leave candles in certain places with certain religions across the board. They leave candles at altars and so forth, so on. So I was like, you know what? That's what I can imagine they are, even though I know that these are candles of thralls that I've killed and they've been on their bodies when I've looted them. So, a couple of benches around the edges for people to sit. Got the fencing, got the ramps and the braziers, and that's just pretty much the worship area. Nothing too fancy, but I might just go fancy. You know, I've got all this area behind there. I don't have much in the way here there where I can expand to, but I've got this area here as well that I can build out. And you know what, the way I look at it is that if you're gonna go, you either go big or you go home. And right now, I suppose just at the time, this was my I think this was my third build, or third part of the build. And I wasn't quite going so big as what I've got there. So I just needed a spot to put the altar, and that's where I just shoved it in the corner over there. So that's a religious area. As I said, that's royal residence going up there. Obviously when I do the video, I'll explain why all the steps and all the ramps and everything just seem a bit awkward. That's just a bit of a frustrating matter of building with wedges and shapes and circled or circular attempts. So let's go through to the military barracks and the training area. So this is this building over there. I've already shown everybody in the previous videos the archery section over there, but I'll go there again. So let's start from this angle. Okay, obviously the royal residence come down here. This would obviously be, this is going to be a lot neater once I remove all these statues, but for now we're just leaving them there so that I know what statues there are in the game and where to put them. Still got a bit of bits and pieces to add here, like some fencing around the edges there, maybe to just make it look a bit more attractive. Maybe I build a couple of ceilings going up there. I don't know, we'll figure out what to do at the end of the day. So royal barracks, military training, come along here, come down here. Okay, as you can see, we got a bit of a small arena. Now what I did here was, I mean, this is a game that only really has your archers, and they've got your melee fighters, or melee, however you want to pronounce it. So I thought, well, you know what, let me put the archer there as a representation of where the archers barracks is, or sort of say are, and this is where the melee barracks are. And I think actually is correct because it's a singular. Yeah, so this is where the melee barracks is, and this is just an arena. I use the same little design element with the ramps. I just kind of like expanded on them with a bit of a top portion at the top there. So I've got the ramp, got the wall, then got another ramp, and I got a fence at the top at the end of the day. So this is just a bit of an arena where, you know, fighters can come train, test each other in the heat of battle. Or ideally, this is actually a spot where, if you look over there, I've got an area and there's a throne there where the king would sit to come and just admire his warriors. So maybe this might be a spot where one could say, you know, the best of the best are chosen at the end of the day to become part of the royal guard, you know, and the king's bodyguard, you know. So maybe that's where that can be, because I'll tell you why, there's another area at the back there for training, but I'll show you that just now. So I think, you know, let's just say this is an arena where potential warriors will come to duke it out with each other to see who can qualify, or who is the best fighter that can be a part of the royal guard or the king's bodyguard. Because obviously the idea being is that if you find yourself in those ranks, you get paid a lot more, you get thrown into a lap of luxury a lot more than you would when you've got 50,000 people all crammed up in these barracks. There's only a handful of royal guards and royal bodyguards, so you've also got a lot more comfortable areas to stay. So nonetheless, the king comes here, walks along here. I just got some seats down here for visitors who want to sit and admire. No ceiling above them because there was a bit of a complication with all these bits and pieces. Come up the stairs here. Okay, there's one throne, queen's throne at the end of the day. Here's the king's throne. Take a seat, look at his warriors, look at them battling, and, you know, just be impressed with what they're doing. I did a bit of a design above his throne. So there's a statue of Conan, you know, a very similar design to what we've got over there with all the different ramps. I just kind of like expanded it a bit, so that's sitting above the throne at the end of the day. I haven't closed off those areas there, but I might at a later date. But for a bird's eye view, that's what that area looks like at the end of the day, just for a bit of interest sake and decoration. Okay, so archers barracks, melee barracks, very similar in design. You know, I didn't go too obvious or too different with them, because really, I mean, they are one of the same, to be dead honest. So come up here, come up these stairs, pop in here. This is their eating area. This is a cafeteria, if you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. A couple of tables over there. Now what I'm thinking of putting down here is I can either make this an area where people can, you know, have a bit of recreation activities, or what I could do is turn this into an armory. I haven't decided, because when I take you up to the top, you'll see that where the sleeping quarters are, there's also a big open area as well that could be turned into an armory. So I'm not quite sure whether I want to make this bottom part the armory or make the top part the armory, but a couple of tables there, a couple of chairs, you know, cooking area. And then you come up these stairs here, and then obviously when you come up here, I've got the sleeping quarters with the folding beds, another high ceiling because I just like high ceilings. And you know, like I said, I mean, over here maybe I think it would make more sense to make this a recreation area, to be dead honest, because it's a nice open area. Put a couple of tables there, you know, make it a bit of an enjoyable area. Maybe I'll put a couple of barrels down the bottom there and tank cards for, you know, the archers when they want to have a bit of downtime, get a bit drunk, you know. So that's the archers barracks. Bottom floor is their eating area, top floor is their sleeping quarters. Now around the back here, I've shown everybody this in the past when I showed you guys the tavern, because you know those are the VIP areas at the top there. And then down here obviously we've got the archery range. So archery range, archers come here, stand here, have a bit of practice, you know, test their skills, sharpen their skills and their abilities. And this is pretty much the archery range. So I've got this big open area here. I didn't really do anything with this area here. I don't know what I'll do with it. You know, I'm inclined to want to build something there and just expand on it, but then I suppose it gets to a point where a bit of green here and there might just be attractive, you know. I don't know. Once again, there's no definites about anything of this, you know, because once I've done the builds and I've finished with all the decorations, I might be like, hey, you know, what about this or what about that? But quite frankly, I'm open to any suggestions from anybody about what I could put in those areas that would make sense, that you would have in the vicinity of a barracks, you know. I mean, I suppose I could technically make this into a, you know, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll make this into something like a prison area. Maybe I'll do that because this is a thrall area over here. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll turn this into a prison area. I mean, you don't need a big, massive prison. And it's right here by the barracks. You know what? I think I'll make that a prison area. Yeah, good idea. That's going to be a prison area. Okay. Pop up here. Pop in here. Same story. Set up the chairs and the benches and the tables a bit differently to the other one. I've already got a thrall cook already assigned to the fire pit over there. Same story. I think it would be better to make this more of an armory. Put a couple of tank cards over there. So anyway, same story. Eating area where the melee fighters can go. All the fighters. I mean, in the game they're called fighters. They're not called melee. They're called fighters. Same story here. Very similar to the others. I used blue here, and if I remember correctly, on the other side I think it was green. So these are the beds at the end of the day, and as I said, turn that into a recreation area. Come down here, I've got a couple of smaller arenas. Now these are the areas where I said, okay, let's, just like there's an archery range over there for the archers, you know, your melee fighters also need somewhere to hone their skills. So I thought, let's build two similar platforms where they can train and they can fight each other and they can get trained by the more highly skilled fighters amongst them. So that's now become my training arenas for my melee fighters. As you can see, I've got this whole big open area here. Haven't put anything here. Just on the back there, you'll actually see there's one of those little settlements where the beginner thralls are. If I just pop out here, actually, you'll actually see just at the back there, that's one of the beginner areas where some of the thralls are, some of the more junior thralls. That's pretty much where I got all my thralls in the beginning. So from this angle, this is pretty much about barracks, you know. So this is a bird's eye view, very similar, very symmetrical, pleasing to my OCD at the end of the day. And then as you can see in the far back there, we've got the throne room, we've got the workshops, we've got the tavern, and most probably tomorrow I must probably take everybody into the royal quarters and into the royal chambers. And I don't know, you know, I mean, there might be a couple of videos after that where I go towards the Colosseum, because the Colosseum has been the biggest build of everything here so far. But I've got a ton of plans with all that area in between the Colosseum and the royal quarters, because there's a lot of green area, and I've got some massive plans to build there, and what I want to do there, you know, and I think it's going to be quite darn epic once I get it done. Okay, so thank you very much. That's a tour of the barracks and the religious area. As I said, maybe in between this video and the next one, I might just make a couple of improvements to the worship area. I just think it deserves that much, you know. I mean, religion's pretty important in games such as this, and actually in the medieval life like this. So I think this deserves a bit of, you know, spit and polish to just make it look more attractive. But anyway, yeah, as per usual, I'm always open to suggestions. I've had 1 or 2 suggestions on what to do. I know this whole sandstone and the fire braziers and everything can be a bit intense and a bit, you know, the colors are very brown. But, you know, once I start throwing in a couple of plants, a couple of banners, you know, hopefully it will pick it up in color, make it look more attractive. And you never know, because, as I said, I'm having to do a bit of cheating here, using the admin panel to spawn a lot of this material, simply because if I was to mine this, it would be like take me forever, as I've said before. If I was to mine all of this sandstone and build it and everything, it would take me an eternity to do any of this, and I just don't have the time to do that. So anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I sincerely hope that, you know, you'll take a check at it and throw some ideas my way. Thanks a lot, eh? Have a good one. Cheers.